Hello and welcome to this episode of China XYZ. I'm Guo Yiming. Our topic today is the growing influence of artificial intelligence, especially with the advent of ChatGPT that has taken the world by storm in recent months. Joining us for this conversation are four panelists, each bringing their unique expertise and perspectives to the table. And first of all, we have Mr. Andy Mok, Senior Research Fellow at the Center for China and Globalization. Welcome.
Great to be here.
And second, we have Mr. Yang Yaodong, Assistant Professor at the Institute of AI, Peking University.
Glad to be here, thanks.
And next, we have Ms. Wei Xinshu, a lawyer at the Jinshi Law Firm, Shanghai office.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
And last but not least, we have Andy Ng, Int'l scholar at Peking University, who focuses on the impacts of human-computer interaction and machine learning.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you all for joining us today. So before this episode, we made an interesting experiment using the AI system developed by OpenAI called DALL-E 2. We generated several pictures of you based on your descriptions. So we got them printed out, and I'd like to invite all of you to choose which one you think you like most. So how about you, Mr. Mok? Which one would you like to choose?
Let's see. Yeah. Wow, that's tough because they both have glasses. Let me see. I'll go with this one because I usually don't wear a tie.
Yeah, great choice. So,
oh, great.
And this one, these are for you, Mr. Yang. Which one would you like to choose?
I think I would prefer the one on your right-hand side.
This one? Yeah.
Mainly looking like a scholar is writing on a blackboard.
Yeah, and
also blue collar.
Yeah, and also a handsome one, right?
Cheers.
So, Ms. Wei, which one would you like to choose?
I prefer the one on the left because she is more nice looking. I mean, her hairstyle looks like mine, but just a bit more fashionable because she dyed her hair to blonde, which reminds me of the musical of Legally Blonde. But there's actually a mistake on this picture. I don't know whether you can point it out. She's actually holding a gavel, right? But a lawyer cannot hold a gavel. Only a judge can do it when it's commanding order or it's requiring justice. So this picture looks more like a judge than a lawyer to me. And besides, if we could change the notebook on the desk to a laptop, I would say it more reflects of my daily work. She has a smile on her face. I think she's quite happy. I like this picture.
Yeah, great choice.
Thank you.
And it's time for Andy, right? Yeah. Which one would you like to choose?
So I like both pictures. I think both of them is very representative of a young girl student. I'd definitely say the second one, the one on this side represents me a little bit more just because a lot of young people today, especially students, are very front-facing with headphones on, with the laptop. Very rarely do we even use pen and pencil anymore. And so the girl on the right who is holding a pen and paper is not as representative of what's happening today. I think it is very modern with the desk chair, with the standing desk. It looks like it's able to move up and down. It's more representative of my day-to-day life.
Yeah, sure. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
choosing this one.
Thank you.
So with conventional tools, drawing a picture like this may take hours, right? So the AI system has really transformed this process. Well, by giving the AI system some keywords, this AI system can really generate automatically a visually engaging picture within seconds. Artificial intelligence has been years in the making. So how transformative is it? Why has it become so powerful, Professor Yang?
Yeah. Thanks for your question. I think in the past decades, we've seen transformative developments on the artificial intelligence technique, especially artificial general intelligence these years. Tools like DALL-E 2 and ChatGPT, they are now approaching humans' capabilities in creating new kinds of drawings or output languages as if people are talking to you. So I think from the user's experience side, we are experienced a tool that is much stronger than any kinds of previous computer programs that we have ever seen. So I think from a user's perspective, it's definitely a breakthrough on technology side.
Yeah, I mean that 1 year ago, we couldn't have imagined having this conversation, right? Because the technology we are talking about has not there yet. It has not burst into the public consciousness yet. That gives us a sense that how this technology is rapidly approaching our lives and evolving the world we are seeing right now. So with all of these advantages and benefits to the society, it comes a lot of disruptions to various sectors. Mr. Moak, how do you describe the impact of this technology to the global economy? Are there any specific industries that will get hurt most? And are there any new industries that it may bring forth?
Well, I think that's a great question, and certainly many people believe, and I agree with Professor Yang here, that this is enormously disruptive. Some people call it the new iPhone, which means it creates a completely new ecosystem, creating new winners and losers, as you said. And then finally, people like Henry Kissinger and Eric Schmidt, who was the former CEO of Google, believe that AI can actually wipe out mankind. So it's hard to imagine a more disruptive event for humans, at least. So I think there's these three areas that we need to pay attention to. Around the economic disruption, I think certainly there's a lot of questions about what kind of white-collar jobs might be eliminated, whether that's accountants, whether that's lawyers, even stock pickers. So ChatGPT has launched an investment fund using ChatGPT to pick stocks. So even Warren Buffett, perhaps, could be out of a job.
Yes, and as the AI technology continues to evolve and being deployed in various sectors, there comes a lot of concerns in terms of its legal challenges. Ms. Wei, what would you think are the legal challenges that may bring forth with the use of these AI tools?
The reason why the current AI is disruptive, as we just discussed, is because these are generative AIs, which means they can generate pictures or create text by themselves. So as we all know, that law doesn't do a quite good job in catching up with these new technologies. So at least I could foresee 3 legal problems that are coming up or already exist. So first and foremost, the first could be the copyright infringement. So traditional copyright law forbids or prohibited people from utilizing the copywriter's original work without their permissions. However, generative AI like Stability AI or Midjourney, they are based on art script around on the internet and are under the copyrighted law of hundreds and thousands of artists. So these pictures that just generated by DALL-E might have already infringed upon some other copyrights that we don't know. But that doesn't end the analysis. The damages has already been caused, right? So here's maybe some cartoon portraits have already infringed someone's copyright. But the true problem is who should be held accountable for the infringement. So should the AI system itself be held accountable? I don't think so, because it's just a bunch of algorithms, right? And on the other hand, can we hold like the programmer, AI developers to be accountable for this? It's quite debatable, because it's those AI programs that they design have caused the damages. So who is going to indeed take the responsibility? We don't know yet until lawmakers come out and clarify this issue, or certain cases resolved by judges they will help to come and explain this problem. The second problem could be the infringement of privacy, because we know that AI has a huge potentiality to collect and analyze a bunch of personal data. So some AI technologies we have might taken granted already. For example, like AI-powered facial recognition system, they might track our movements without our consent. So if these personal data has fallen into the wrong hands, it could be used for nefarious purposes, such as identity theft or cyberbullying. And the third legal problem that I could foresee is the reinforcement of social inequality, because there's an old saying, garbage in, garbage out. So if we feed the system with biased data, it might come up with those discriminatory decisions that will go and affect those underprivileged groups based on certain aspects, based on their gender or socioeconomic status. So we definitely don't want to see the new technology will be used by wrong hands and widen the gap or enrich the powerful and weaken the underprivileged. So lots of legal problems and societal problems coming up, and lots of problems to be tackled with.
Yeah, it's really important to take these legal challenges into consideration while to ensure that these AI systems can be deployed in a more responsible and ethical way. And with the introduction of any new technologies, there are always the question of digital divide, right? And also, I think AI technology is no exception. Andy, do you think that the deployment of this kind of AI system can be used to address these digital divides?
Yeah, I think the digital divide really talks about digitization and the role of now automation in digitization. So these are two different social phenomenons that we see happening today. We see technology being used as a tool. So it essentially enhances and catalyzes any social phenomenon that we see. In many ways, deepening inequality, like you mentioned, but also being able to speed up the processes. When we talk about digitization and the digital divide, about who is being impacted and how they're being impacted, we see many ways. I think one of the first ways that we really need to address is how the digital divide is being approached. Right now, with the usage of smartphones, about 5, 10, even 20 years ago, it was unfathomable to think that we are all using smartphones today, especially in China. This learnability of being able to use WeChat, to be able to use these platforms, has now enhanced and really started to close that gap of inequality. In terms of the role of ChatGPT, we can definitely see how China is able to harness this as a tool to enhance these opportunities. So people who are maybe not as well versed in multiple languages, they're able to expand their market into different areas now, whether it be in terms of translation, summarization, as well as being able to help further their businesses and bolster that type of economy. And so it's a two-way street. But I think the key aspect of the digital divide that is always necessary to remember is to have technology literacy as of the forefront, to be able to keep people relevant in this system.
Yeah. How about you, Mr. Mok? Will it widen the existing digital divide, or will it contribute to the reducing of this gap?
Well, I think it's a double-edged sword. So typically what we've seen with digital technologies is they've had an impact on widening the digital divide, meaning that the winners win a lot more. But at the same time, I think as Andy touched on, what's very interesting about generative AI is there's some encouraging evidence that it in fact allows the less capable, perhaps we could say the more mediocre people, to have greater opportunities as well. So I think it's having both of these, both a beneficial impact and a negative impact on the digital divide.
Yeah, I think that with thoughtful deployment and collaboration, these AI systems can be used to benefit a lot more people, not those people who are close to this technology, the early adopters, but also those marginalized communities. Well, Professor Yang, you're teaching at university. Are your students using AI systems like ChatGPT? Are there any specific rules regarding its usage?
Yeah, speaking of which, I think nowadays, I actually did a small little survey on my class. So I taught multi-agent systems in the gifted class for artificial general intelligence in Peking University. So I asked them, who of you do not use ChatGPT for your homework for now? And none of them agreed with me. Almost every one of them use ChatGPT now for their homework. But obviously, Peking University has a very rigorous code of conduct for what you can do and what you cannot do for using this of new technology. But they also have to keep it in mind that plagiarism and these kind of code of conduct, misconduct is never allowed. But I think it's still a kind of useful tool to augment the capability of what the student can do and make their work to reach a better quality that couldn't have been reached without this kind of technology. Yeah.
Yeah. How about you, Andy? In what ways can these AI technologies help with your studies?
Yeah, I think Professor Yang really touched upon a lot of the good parts about it. I think with technology in general, we always have to take a look at the goods and the bads. Using it as a tool, I think there's multiple capabilities that ChatGPT is really good at harnessing in. I think there's one of them. The first one is role-playing. So being able to talk to one as like a co-pilot, as we call it, oftentimes, or a world-class tutor is what we often hear. So being able to talk to it in terms of a peer, being able to bounce ideas off of it. Not necessarily using it for its ideas, but not necessarily thinking about what we're talking about, but how we're talking about it. And so that's still something that's really key in terms of critical thinking that we need. The second area is it's really able to harness in on is summarization. Summarization before reading a 26-page paper might have taken you 2-3 hours if you're really trying to get the key points. Reading, critical thinking is still a very crucial aspect of learning. However, now we're able to use it and speed up the process.
Yeah, so by leveraging these AI tools, it can really enhance our learning experience, right? And also help those students reach their fullest potential. And recently, there has been a lot of discussions on ChatGPT about its disruption on the job market. And according to a survey, a report by Goldman Sachs, about 300 million jobs could be affected by generative AI. Mr. Mok, how do you think the younger generation, especially the younger generations, can do to better adapt themselves into this changing landscape?
Well, I think actually young people today are the best situated to benefit from the disruptive impact of generative AI. Because what makes new technology so exciting for young people, whether that's the internet, social media, or generative AI, is that if you're 22, 23 years old and you're competing with someone with, that's 50 with a new field like generative AI, you both start at zero. Whereas if you're in an existing field, it's very, very difficult to compete effectively with someone that has a lot more knowledge and experience than you do. So I think that's a very, very positive aspect of this.
Yeah, right. How about you, Andy?
Yeah, I think this is a really hot topic and something that we are all really looking into on how can we stay relevant. I think the first part is embracing the technology, not being fearful of it, but really learning its own capabilities. Experts today still don't know all the use cases that we can possibly have for ChatGPT. So I think this is a very exciting time for people to take a head start in terms of finding out what we can do with it. I think there's new things such as prompt engineering, being able to learn how to ask questions to ChatGPT to your advantage, whether it be in a chat room for small businesses to enhance data analysis, or whether it be for students in terms of becoming now a generalized expert in terms of new nascent fields. I think that's the first thing. The second thing is really finding out how we can find our own niches. Technology, as I said, is only enhancing our capabilities. So being able to find your own niche and say, technology plus X. What can we really further this in, whether it be in the humanities, arts, sciences? How can we help lawyers keep their jobs but make it even more efficient? And so this efficiency shouldn't be fearful. We should always think about how we can combine these worlds of the technical and non-technical solutions together.
Yeah, I agree with you. So it's really important to stay proactive, to embrace the technology, and also to be adaptable to this changing landscape. And as AI systems continues to develop and reach various sectors, there comes the question of how these biases in the training data could not perpetuate harmful discrimination. What do you think, Mr. Yang?
Yeah, I think you've raised a very serious question, and as a researcher standing at the forefront of artificial general intelligence research, such as ChatGPT, actually our community is very well aware of this issue. Taking OpenAI, for example, according to Sam Altman's interview, they have trained ChatGPT a while ago, and they've spent another 8 months to make the model aligned. So what is aligned? So you can think of training an AGI model nowadays has 2 major steps. The first step is to learn the general knowledge from the corpus. For example, you scroll a lot of web page data, and you use one giant neural network to process the information, as if you were preparing for an exam. And the second step is what we call alignment. So alignment, the aim of alignment is to make the model, make the big ChatGPT-like model to stay aligned with your value and follow your intent. So the alignment, the aim of alignment or conducting alignment is to make AI helpful, honest, and harmless, what we call the 3H criteria. So as a researcher at the forefront of the tool generation, we actually spend a lot of efforts to make AI safe. For example, how to remove the bias in your training dataset, how to make the model more fair even after training stage, and in the align stage, how can we make the AI model meeting the 3H criteria. There are a lot of technique that is going on behind, and companies like OpenAI and the research lab that is currently impacting you, we all spend a lot of efforts on this topic. So we want to make the AI model more fair.
Professor Yang, could you briefly introduce what you and your team are doing to address this kind of issue?
Yes, this is in fact in line with what I was saying on the topic of alignment. So the key technology behind alignment is called reinforcement learning from human preference, RLHF, or from human feedback. So the aim of this technology is to make the model shift the parameter of the model towards what a human would expect you to say. In fact, the research lab in our team actually open sourced a project called Beaver, where we collected 1 million preference data, including biases, assault, physical attacks, etc. So we use this collected human preferences data to tune the model so that they will not say something that is not nice, according to what we have defined in our data as preferred. So this reinforcement learning from human feedback is really what is behind the alignment goal, and what we believe is an important tool to make AI model more safe.
Yeah, it's really encouraging that your team are doing this to make this AI system more safer, more honest, and more harmless, right? And the AI systems are being deployed in various sectors nowadays, right? Like healthcare, finance, and law enforcement. Ms. Wei, how do you think regulations should evolve to ensure that the responsible and ethical use of AI while continuing to foster its innovation?
Well, there are many reasons why we should put the regulation into place. History tells us that there needs to be regulation, but how is truly the tricky part. How are we going to do that? So normally there are many ways to do it. So one approach could be we regulate AI based on industry-specific sectors. So where the industries will regulate AI, the use of AI focusing on the industry-specific concerns or needs. So that could be one approach. And the other approach could be through the development of a general regulation, where it regulates all kinds of use of AI, regardless of the industry. So this could require a broad and comprehensive regulation, and also involves inputs of a wide range of stakeholders, such as the AI developers, users, or advocacy groups who work in tandem with lawmakers. So I can imagine that the biggest problem that the regulation needs to tackle with is the black spot issue, meaning that we are currently unable to understand how this answer comes from these large bunch of data. So AI itself should be explainable. So I certainly will be in favor of a general, well-tailored regulation as opposed to self-policy regulations as favored by most private AI companies.
Yeah, and also it's really important to strike the right balance between regulation and innovation so that those AI technologies can be deployed in a way that is more responsible and ethical, while also have a very sustainable and positive future for us all. And as we wrap up today's conversation, I'd like to ask one last question for you. How would you envision a future with AI, especially in terms of its impact on your personal life and work, and also its effects on the humanity as a whole?
Well, it's certainly very exciting, but at the same time, it's scary and even terrifying. So we discussed a bit about the importance of fairness, alignment, but there's actually two other dangers I think it's important to point out. So one is that AI, of course, is very powerful, and the weaponization of AI by bad people is it can be used to engineer other weapons that could cause a lot of harm. The second danger comes from what's called emergent abilities. So large language models can actually do things that surprise the people that develop them. So there's talk that it could even become sentient one day. And what happens if AI becomes smarter than humans and decides that, the universe would be better off without mankind? So these are two dangers, I think, that are important to be aware of. The second thing, personally, I'm very excited and looking forward to watching how this plays out, is that we talked about reinforcement learning with human feedback. And there's a lot of questions about has China, how far behind is China? Can China catch up? And I think China has some important hidden strengths here, because the role of humans in tuning these AI models is very, very important. I've seen estimates from 400 man-years to millions of hours that it takes to tune these models. And China has an enormous workforce, a highly trained workforce, but perhaps most importantly, a workforce that is able and willing to do sometimes very tedious work to a very high quality. So I think that this is, again, a very exciting time, but we should be concerned, and hopefully everything will work out.
How about you, Professor Yang?
Yeah, it's for sure a very exciting age. So there is a rough estimate that we are 20 years behind. We finally reached the stage of artificial general intelligence by 2045, which will be 100 years since we human beings invent modern computers. I think we are surely at a very exciting stage where we will envision a very fast speed of AI development in the next 20 years. But on the other hand, I kind of agree with Elon Musk that AI could be more unsafe than we currently expect. I think it's a very exciting age, and I can't wait to see what's going to happen in the next 2 decades.
So in my opinion, AI will definitely change lots of industries, for example, healthcare, transportation, and education. Many people have concern about that white-collar jobs like lawyers will be on the top list to be replaced by AI. So whether I will be replaced by AI or smart lawyers will come up ways work with AI to improve their efficiency, let's wait and see.
Andy?
Yeah, I think when we talk about AI, there's many different types of AI. I think there's two main categories that we talk about. There's disembodied AI and embodied AI. And when we talk about that, it's mainly software and hardware. So ChatGPT is a disembodied AI. It doesn't really have some sort of form. Right now, we're going onto our laptops, onto our phones, and taking a look at how we can use it. I think the next step that I really see this is when the combination, ChatGPT as a brain, takes a body And that is when we are able to now see maybe a humanoid that we see in these sci-fi movies, to be able to take more of a physical aspect in our lives. And so when those two start aligning, when the brain takes the body, I think that's when we'll see the next wave of this technological revolution. In terms of how we can approach this in our daily life, AI makes our life much more efficient. But what we can really see is in our own daily life, especially for younger individuals, we need to be able to set boundaries with AI and technology, that it's not just seeping into our phones and into our life. The phones, the AIs, everything is an extension of ourselves. And so being able to have that work-life balance is really important. And so when we're thinking about this race to AI, I think something that we really should put forward is putting the human race at the forefront of it all.
Yeah, fascinating perspective. Thank you so much for your contribution. Okay, that brings us to the end of today's roundtable. We hope this discussion has provided you with a deeper understanding of the transformative capabilities of AI and the exciting possibilities that lie ahead. Thanks for joining us for this episode of China XYZ, and we hope to see you again. Bye.